Sure. Now, the hot topic whenever we talk about the papacy is Matthew 16. Jay Dyer says that the fathers are not united in interpreting Matthew 16, but he says that none of them see it the way Vatican I sees it, or that we don't see Vatican I in Matthew 16 in the way the fathers are interpreting it. Are there any church fathers that you can source that would give us an idea of what Vatican I is saying there?
Yeah, well, when we refer to Vatican I, what are we talking about?
So,
Because when the Eastern Orthodox refer to Vatican I, are they referring to their distortion of it, or are they referring to the Catholic teaching of it? A lot of Orthodox critics will go to Satis Cognitum and pick a couple of statements where it says, "Oh, this was always there," and so what the Catholic has to do is he has to rewind the tape and go back to the beginning and give us proof that an infallible autocrat was single-handedly putting down all his opponents all the time, and it's kind of it's a distortion, you know. With regard to the Petrine passages in the New Testament, and whether they support a divinely instituted Roman supremacy, I think the Orthodox have everything they're asking for in the Council of Constantinople 879. And, this is a council that a lot of the Orthodox like to bring up in debates with Roman Catholics. Because they think, it basically locked the creed, condemned the filioque. It actually didn't condemn the filioque. If you want history on that, get Henry Chadwick, his 2003 book, Rift Between the East and the West, to read a brief summary. It's very brief. The Council of Constantinople 879, which also follows a synod in Constantinople in 861. In both of these councils, Rome, under Pope Nicholas I, who everybody believes claimed universal intermediate jurisdiction, and under Pope John VIII, they all made very high claims to papal power from the Petrine passages in the New Testament. In fact, the letter of Pope John VIII to the Emperor Michael, I want to say his name was, I can't remember exactly. In 879, you have Bardas came in, and then I can't remember the emperor's name. But John VIII wrote a letter to the emperor, wrote a letter to the council. And in one of those letters, he wrote this: "Since it has seemed desirable to us to bring peace to the Church of God, we have sent our legates so that they might execute our will. Even though in your charity you have already anticipated us in reinstating Photius. We accept this action, which was done not by our own authority, even though we have the power to do it, but in obedience to the apostolic teachings. Since, in fact, we have received the keys of the kingdom of heaven from the high priest, Jesus Christ, by the intermediary of the first of the apostles, to whom the Lord said, I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Everything which you will bind upon earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Therefore, this apostolic throne of Rome has the power to bind and loose, and this, according to the words of Jeremiah, to uproot and to plant. This is why, by the authority of Peter, the prince of the apostles, we announce to you, in union with the whole church, and through you as intermediary, we announce to our dear confreres and concelebrants, the patriarchs of Alexandria, Antioch, and Jerusalem, and to the other bishops and priests, and to all the church of Constantinople, that we are in agreement with you, or rather, in agreement with God, and that we consent to your request. Accept this man, Photius, without any hesitation. Um, this is the citation is taken from Francis Dvornik's Byzantium and Roman Primacy, pages 111 to 112. What's the importance of this statement? Here it is. People who study the history of the Council of Constantinople 879, they know there's two versions of the Acts. There's the Latin version and there's the Greek version. The Latin version is what was sent from Rome, right? The Greek version is what the Greeks write up at the council. A lot of Eastern Orthodox critics point to the way that Greeks sometimes tampered with Latin documents in order to make it sound less papal. This happened, for example, at the Council of Nicaea II, where the bishops there sort of modified the letter of Pope Hadrian I, which was making clear and unmistakable claims to papal supremacy on the basis of Christ's investment in Peter by divine right. They modified it to make it sound a little bit more Byzantine, I guess you could say, at the time. Well, this letter of Pope John VIII was unaltered in the Greek. Francis Dvornik points this out. This was unaltered, and it contains a clear admission by the Pope of Rome that the keys of the kingdom that were divinely put into the responsibility of St. Peter to bind and loose and to govern the universal church is inherited by the bishops of the Apostolic See of Rome. Now, it's important because Photius allowed this to be read out loud in the Greek at the council in the Constantinopolitan version of the Acts, and he did not alter it at all. And he actually depended on this authority in order to annul the Council of Constantinople 869. Of course, Photius had already thought it was annulled, but there was a formality that the council recognized that needed to be done because the Council of Constantinople 869 was duly convened. The emperor was there. The patriarchal legates were there from the east, et cetera, et cetera. So there was a formal process of annulling that council by the authority of Pope John VIII. And he references the Petrine supremacy from the scripture. And it's in that council. And the Orthodox Church accepts this council. In fact, many Orthodox testimonies throughout the centuries have referred to this council as the Eighth Ecumenical Council. In that famous encyclical of the Patriarchs in 1848, they referred to it as the Eighth Ecumenical Council. So if this is an ecumenical council, and it has an unaltered letter from the Pope in the Greek version of the Acts that makes unmistakable claim to the Petrine supremacy on divine grounds, then at the very least, we should not see Orthodox, bickering with Catholics on whether it was Peter, whether it was office or his person. It's so absorbed into the fathers that the keys of the kingdom have a special and unique place in the hands of Peter and his successors in the Roman See. Michael did a video not too long ago on the Council of Ephesus, and he brought out the statement of the papal legate Philip, which again makes an unmistakable claim to the root of papal primacy in the Gospel of Matthew with the keys of the kingdom. And both St. Cyril of Alexandria and the other bishops heard it, and they responded and said, "Let what the legates say stand." And it's in the Greek and the Latin version of the Acts. Is it an infallible dictum that the Orthodox are bound to? I'm not sure how the Orthodox would understand. You have some that Michael has been telling me that you have certain fathers and in the past that held to like a conciliar fundamentalism, where almost everything in the council is God breathed. Well, if that's the case, then this is a settled case. There should be no more Orthodox arguing about Matthew 18. Now, they might say, yeah, that's a high primacy. Yes, it's a high universal jurisdiction, but it's not Vatican I. But it's still high enough that it invalidates the encyclical of the Patriarchs, 1848, which denied everything. Denied Peter was given a discriminate power over the apostles. It denies that Rome had a universal jurisdiction. It denies that there was anything but the secular capital of the empire that caused Rome's customary appellate jurisdiction in the West. So I don't think the Orthodox should be granted the capacity to have this view of a high papal primacy just under Vatican I. I just don't think that they have the capacity for that. There's too much negation and rejection over the centuries altogether. And there's too much of a positive acclamation of apostolic equality and episcopal equality. But nevertheless, in conclusion here, if they want to put Constantinople 879 on the table, and they're willing to say that it wasn't heretical, I would say this is a settled deal. Roman primacy was based on a divine investment that came from the Lord in Blessed Peter, and it had to do with authority, universal jurisdiction, and they make no bones about it at the council.